Life is a journey filled with challenges, opportunities, and moments that define our path. Many people chase success, but not all find it in a way that brings true fulfillment. I want to share with you 3 keys that will not only lead to success, but will give you peace, purpose, and lasting joy. There was once a young man who had big dreams. He wanted to build a successful business, make a name for himself, and achieve everything the world called success. From a young age, he worked tirelessly, waking up before the sun and staying up long after others had gone to sleep. He read every book on success, followed every strategy, and surrounded himself with the right people. Yet, no matter how hard he worked, something was missing. He felt restless, anxious, and uncertain. It seemed that the more he pursued success, the further it slipped from his grasp. One day, in frustration, he went to visit an older man in his church, a man known for his wisdom, kindness, and the unshakable peace that surrounded him. He poured out his heart, explaining how hard he had worked, how much he had sacrificed, and yet how empty he still felt. The older man listened patiently and then smiled. He reached for a Bible that sat next to him and flipped through its pages. He read aloud from Proverbs 16:9, "In their hearts humans plan their course, but the Lord establishes their steps." Then he looked up and said, "Son, you've been chasing success the way the world tells you to, but have you ever stopped to ask God what success looks like in His eyes?" The young man was taken aback. He had prayed before, asking God for blessings, asking for His plans to work, but he had never truly sought God's direction. He had been so focused on achieving success that he had never asked whether he was even on the right path. The old man continued, "True success isn't just about what you accomplish. It's about who you become. The world tells you that success is about wealth, power, and recognition, but God defines success differently. Success is walking in obedience to Him. Success is found in faithfulness, in diligence, and in trusting Him above all else. You've been leaning on your own understanding, but real success starts when you surrender your plans and trust God to lead you." The young man sat in silence, reflecting on those words. He realized that he had been striving without direction, working without peace, and chasing something that could never truly satisfy. That conversation changed his life. He didn't stop working hard, but his focus shifted. He started each day in prayer, seeking God's will before making decisions. He committed to working with excellence, not just for personal gain, but to honor God in everything he did. And most importantly, he learned to trust that success wasn't just about reaching a destination. It was about walking the right path. Over time, his life changed. His business grew, but more than that, he found a deep sense of purpose and fulfillment. He no longer measured his success by the standards of the world, but by his obedience to God. And in doing so, he discovered a truth that many spend a lifetime searching for. Success isn't something you chase, it's something you receive when you trust God, walk in obedience, and remain faithful in all you do. Success is not built in a day, and it is certainly not achieved by accident. It requires a strong foundation, one that is unshakable, unmovable, and rooted in principles that stand the test of time. Many people believe that success is about talent, luck, or being in the right place at the right time. While those things may play a role, they are not the foundation of true success. A person can have all the talent in the world, but without character, discipline, and faith, that talent will never reach its full potential. A person can experience temporary success, but without the right foundation, it will eventually crumble. The first and most important foundation of success is character. Who we are matters more than what we do. Character is what determines how we handle success and failure, how we treat others, and whether or not we stay true to our values when no one is watching. The world often praises people for their achievements, but God looks at the heart. A successful life is one built on integrity, honesty, and faithfulness. Without these qualities, even the greatest success will be empty and fleeting. Another key part of the foundation of success is perseverance. Success is never easy, and it rarely comes quickly. Those who truly succeed are not necessarily the most gifted, but they are the ones who refuse to give up. They keep pushing forward even when they face obstacles, setbacks, and disappointments. They understand that every failure is an opportunity to grow, to learn, and to develop resilience. The Bible reminds us in James 1:12, "Blessed is the one who perseveres under trial, because, having stood the test, that person will receive the crown of life that the Lord has promised to those who love him." Discipline is another essential element of success. Without discipline, dreams remain just dreams. It takes consistent effort, self-control, and a willingness to do the hard work, even when we don't feel like it. Many people want success, but not everyone is willing to put in the daily effort required to achieve it. True discipline means staying committed, staying focused, and refusing to take shortcuts. Success is not just about making the right choices when things are easy. It's about making the right choices even when they are difficult. At the core of every lasting success is faith. Faith gives us the strength to move forward when things seem impossible. Faith reminds us that we are not alone, that God is with us, and that He has a plan for our lives that is greater than anything we can imagine. Too often, people rely solely on their own strength, but true success comes when we recognize that our strength is limited, while God's power is unlimited. Trusting Him, seeking His guidance, and following His path ensures that our success is not only meaningful, but also eternal. A solid foundation determines the strength of any structure, and the same is true for success. When built on character, perseverance, discipline, and faith, success is not only possible, it is inevitable. True success begins with recognizing that we cannot do it alone. No matter how intelligent, hardworking, or talented we may be, our own strength is not enough to carry us through life's challenges. There will always be obstacles we cannot overcome, decisions we do not have the wisdom to make, and situations that leave us feeling helpless. This is why the first and most important key to success is dependence on God. It is only when we fully trust Him that we can walk in true confidence, knowing that our steps are ordered, our needs are met, and our future is secure. Many people live under the illusion of self-sufficiency, believing that they control their own destiny. They rely on their skills, experience, and intelligence to navigate life. But even the most capable person will eventually reach the limits of their ability. There are moments when no amount of effort can change a situation, when no strategy seems to work, and when human wisdom falls short. That is when we are reminded that real success does not come from our own efforts, but from God's guidance, provision, and grace. Proverbs 3:05 says, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your paths straight." This verse is a powerful reminder that when we depend on God, He directs our steps in ways we could never achieve on our own. Depending on God does not mean sitting back and doing nothing. It means surrendering our plans, seeking His will, and trusting Him to lead us in the right direction. When we depend on God, we begin to see things differently. Instead of relying on our limited perspective, we gain access to divine wisdom. Instead of carrying the weight of worry and stress, we find peace in knowing that God is in control. Instead of making choices based on fear or uncertainty, we move forward in faith, knowing that He is guiding us. One of the greatest examples of dependence on God is found in the life of King David. Before he became king, David was a simple shepherd boy with no status, power, or influence. But David had something far greater. He had a deep and unwavering trust in God. When he faced Goliath, he did not rely on his own strength or weapons. He declared, "The battle is the Lord's, and He will give you into our hands." 2 Samuel 17:47. That kind of faith and dependence on God led David to victory, and the same principle applies to us today. When we depend on God, we no longer have to live in fear of failure. We no longer have to be controlled by stress and anxiety. We no longer have to struggle to make everything happen on our own. Instead, we can rest in the assurance that God is leading us, equipping us, and providing everything we need to succeed. True success comes not from what we achieve by ourselves, but from what God does in and through us when we trust Him completely. Success is never accidental. It is the result of consistent effort, unwavering discipline, and a commitment to diligence. Many people dream of achieving great things, but few are willing to put in the hard work required to reach their goals. Talent and opportunity can only take a person so far. Without discipline and diligence, even the most gifted individual will fall short of their potential. These qualities separate those who merely wish for success from those who actually achieve it. Discipline is the ability to do what needs to be done even when we don't feel like doing it. It requires self-control, commitment, and the willingness to make sacrifices. A disciplined person does not wait for the perfect circumstances or rely on motivation alone, because motivation comes and goes. Instead, they create habits and routines that ensure progress, no matter how they feel. The Apostle Paul understood this principle well. In 1 Corinthians 9:27, he said, "I discipline my body and keep it under control, lest after preaching to others, I myself should be disqualified." Paul recognized that even in his spiritual life, discipline was essential to fulfilling his purpose. If he needed discipline to stay the course, how much more do we? Diligence goes hand in hand with discipline. It is the persistence to keep going even when the results are not immediate. Too often people give up when they do not see quick success. They expect overnight breakthroughs, but real success takes time. Proverbs 10:04 reminds us, "Lazy hands make for poverty, but diligent hands bring wealth." This truth applies not just to financial success, but to every area of life. Whether in business, relationships, ministry, or personal growth, diligence is what leads to lasting success. Consider the life of an athlete. A world-class runner does not become great by training only when they feel inspired. They wake up early, train in difficult conditions, and push past their limits. Even when they are tired, discouraged, or facing setbacks, they keep going. They know that every small effort, every disciplined choice, and every sacrifice is bringing them closer to their goal. The same principle applies to any endeavor in life. Success is built one disciplined decision at a time. In the Bible, the story of Joseph is a powerful example of discipline and diligence. Sold into slavery by his own brothers, falsely accused and imprisoned, Joseph had every reason to give up. Yet he remained faithful in every situation. He worked diligently in Potiphar's house, in prison, and later as a ruler in Egypt. Because of his diligence, God elevated him to a position of great influence. His story teaches us that discipline and diligence do not go unnoticed. Even when no one sees our hard work, God does. Success is not just about working hard occasionally. It is about a lifestyle of discipline and diligence. It is about showing up every day, putting in the effort, and trusting that in due time the harvest will come. The world rewards talent, but God honors those who are faithful in the small things. Success is not just about working hard or having the right opportunities. It is about walking in obedience to God. Many people chase success according to the world's standards, but true success comes when we align our lives with God's will. Obedience is the key that unlocks blessings, favor, and divine direction. It is not always easy, and it often requires us to trust, even when we do not fully understand. However, when we obey God, we place ourselves in a position where He can work in and through us in ways we never imagined. Obedience begins with surrender. It is the willingness to set aside our own plans, desires, and understanding in order to follow God's direction. Proverbs 3:05 and 6 reminds us, "Trust in the Lord with all your heart, and lean not on your own understanding. In all your ways submit to Him, and He will make your path straight." Many people struggle with obedience because they want to be in control. They hesitate to fully trust God because they fear where He might lead them. But the truth is, God's plan is always greater than anything we could come up with on our own. He sees the whole picture, while we only see a small part. A great example of walking in obedience is found in the life of Abraham. When God told Abraham to leave his homeland and go to an unknown place, Abraham obeyed without hesitation. He did not have all the answers, but he trusted that God did. Later, when God tested his faith by asking him to sacrifice Isaac, Abraham obeyed again, believing that God would provide. His obedience led to an incredible promise that his descendants would be as numerous as the stars. Abraham's life teaches us that obedience often requires faith, but it always leads to God's blessings. Walking in obedience also means living according to God's principles. The Bible is filled with wisdom about how to live a successful life. When we choose honesty over dishonesty, humility over pride, and faith over fear, we position ourselves for God's favor. Many people want success, but are unwilling to live by God's standards. They cut corners, compromise their values, or chase worldly gain at the cost of their integrity. However, true success is not about temporary achievements. It is about a life that honors God. Obedience requires patience. Sometimes we follow God's direction but do not see immediate results. This is where many people become discouraged. They expect instant blessings, and when things do not happen right away, they begin to doubt. But obedience is not about quick rewards. It is about trusting God's timing. In Galatians 6:9, we are reminded, "Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up." When we walk in obedience, we may not always understand where God is leading us, but we can be sure that He is leading us to something greater than we could achieve on our own. His ways are higher, His plans are better, and His blessings are beyond anything we could ask or imagine. Obedience is not just a pathway to success, It is the very definition of it. Success is not just about what we accomplish. It is about the journey we take and the lessons we learn along the way. There will be moments of challenge, seasons of waiting, and times when the path ahead seems unclear. But through it all, we must remember that we are not alone. God is walking with us, guiding us, and strengthening us for what lies ahead. When we place our trust in Him, work with diligence, and walk in obedience, we can be confident that our success is not only possible, but inevitable. One of the most important things to remember is that success does not always look the way we expect. The world measures success by wealth, status, and recognition, but God measures success by faithfulness, obedience, and perseverance. Sometimes what seems like failure in our eyes is actually a setup for something greater. Joseph was thrown into a pit by his own brothers, falsely accused and imprisoned. By human standards, his life looked like anything but success. Yet, because he remained faithful, God elevated him to a position of great influence, saving an entire nation from famine. His story reminds us that even when things don't go as planned, God is still at work, preparing us for something bigger than we can imagine. It is easy to grow weary when we don't see immediate results. We may wonder if our efforts are making a difference or if our faithfulness even matters. But Galatians 6:9 gives us a powerful reminder. Let us not grow weary in doing good, for at the proper time we will reap a harvest if we do not give up. The key to success is not just starting strong, but finishing well. There will be obstacles along the way, but those who press forward in faith will see God's promises come to pass. No matter where you are in your journey, know that God has a plan for you. He has placed dreams in your heart for a reason, and He will equip you with everything you need to fulfill them. You may feel like you are waiting too long, or that your hard work is unnoticed, but nothing done for God is ever wasted. Every act of obedience, every step of faith, and every moment of perseverance is leading you closer to the destiny He has prepared for you. Take courage and keep moving forward. Success is not about perfection, nor is it about reaching a final destination. It is about walking daily in faith, trusting that God is leading you in the right direction. If you stay committed, keep your heart aligned with His will, and refuse to give up, you will experience the kind of success that is not only lasting but also fulfilling. The best is yet to come. Stay faithful, stay diligent, and trust that God's plan for your life is greater than anything you could ever imagine. Success is not found in mere ambition, talent, or luck. It is built upon a foundation of faith, discipline, and obedience to God. The world may define success by wealth, power, and recognition, but true success is measured by our willingness to trust God, remain diligent in our efforts, and follow His direction even when the path is uncertain. When we depend on God, we are no longer striving in our own strength, but walking in divine wisdom and purpose. When we practice discipline and diligence, we position ourselves for growth and prepare for the doors that God will open. And when we walk in obedience, we ensure that our success is not only meaningful, but also eternal.